I remember Central Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. Part 3 of a poem that I call A Dream of You, Desert Vision. I'm Stanley Pacion. Good morning. I remember Central Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. Danny's store, packed with Native American silver bracelets, necklaces, and rings, properly displayed on racks and trays locked within glass-enclosed showcases on clear shelves, the velvet pads, the array of colors. Alexander, my son, may be 8, but not more than 10 his years of age, playing behind the counters next to shotguns diagonally propped on the floor, 12-gauge shotgun shells and open boxes, should there be need for extended engagement. I share with you the times when, flying in from Dallas, the grand noise, engines reversal to land at Sky Harbor, the ground crew, how they scrambled and then rolled up the staircase, the platform for debarkation, and me, I would descend the steps full tilt, straight onto the tarmac, Fahrenheit 95 degrees in the early morning. A rental car awaited me, and I was off over to the parking lot at the dog track, to the swap meet that was unfolding, and I sought the cowboy named Roadrunner, who always had tons of loot, the goods, every Sunday's hauls. Though at this point it all seems dreamlike. I recall the very special meeting when traders lined up, raised hands, and one after the other volunteered to say that jewelry great here, and proclaimed that whosoever is welcome into the lounge camper who greets the Navajo, both man and wife, eyes at slight diverted, who knows the children and divines the pattern from their running across the gravel lot, left and right, up and down, then onto the asphalt sidewalk, who enjoys when they stop to refresh from the water-cooled stainless steel floor pedal fountain, that bright, sparkling, that eye of the desert, the stream which gushed upward next to, it was on the right-hand side of the pari-mutuel windows, upon those persons who bore witness to the design, who abstracted the anagram from behind the children's scurry, who traced out upon the open parking lot space meaning, those who were brought to new vision, sight seen within the mind's eye, the dance holy ones danced in godly regalia, those who heard within the children's feet, the drums, the rhythms ancestors had orchestrated, so to let go, leave this material world, and find entrance to separate reality. The traders at the meeting, in order, one by one, called upon Great Spirit to sanctify their decision. They bestowed their most precious title, and among the ghosts and the human beings, one word cemented the union: friend. One Sunday afternoon I felt good magic when a child ran up behind me, then quickly touched the back of my hand. Later I went up to South Mountain, to the home of a Mexican. It was painted a distinctive blue. I bought more jewelry and got into my car. I took the expressway north, exited at Bell Road, and headed to way out west of the city. At one point, I passed a shopping mall. I thought about Monday's appointments, how a salesman's lot means he sits, marks time to wait his turn with buyers. That night, on the concrete patio, the one surrounding the big swimming pool at the community center, I buck danced to Beat, which played on the rock and roll radio station. Although it was already that Sunday's dusk, and the day's high temperature had receded, it was still over 90 degrees while I sat back on the lounge chairs and watched Alexander, time and again, practice dives off the high board. Even then, it was long ago, and in Phoenix, it was you, darling. I had been waiting for you. The desert air brought dream of you, the shimmering, the uplifts, the vertical lines, upwards, shafts of heat rising out across the desert vista. Now I know it. A dream of you, and the vision, my verse racing, galloping through my mind, sat at the tip of my tongue. I was reciting poetry, not out loud, but to myself, though I knew not its power, no idea of the prophecy. I knew not the meaning of that woman who walked out among the columns of earth fever and stood next to the saguaros in the twilight, who I saw for a moment out on the horizon, seemingly over and against the floor of the desert before she disappeared, leaving me to these lines whose cadences I repeat at the keyboard, these words I use to describe dream of you. Long before I had ever made your acquaintance, a figure in the landscape, I saw her in time prior to when you were born. At the airport, when security stopped me, I stood in a booth whose sliding curtains dropped to the floor. The jewelry I carried, X-ray showed a concentrated jumble of metal. My carry-on bag, it must needs be opened and inspected. In that booth, halted before my return to New York City, that was the moment, the time I began to wonder. I tell this event, though it occurred decades ago, it remains fresh today as it were yesterday. I begin to wonder when your love might saunter in and make my life complete.